Hey everyone, here's a quick Bitcoin update. So Bitcoin's been roughly ballpark flat for about the last month, meaning it's going up as much as it's going down. Typically it just does that at various points. This time it's mostly around the previous all-time high, which was around $69,000 to $70,000 per coin. And so typically when you hit sort of major milestones like that, either at the $10,000 mark or at a previous sort of record high or something like that, lots of people want to get off the train. A lot of people want to get on the train, and it sort of balances out for a while. Over time, of course, as adoption increases, more people want to get on the train than want to get off the train. And so eventually that buying pressure sort of has to force the price up. Additionally, hopefully, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is GBTC, is finally done selling out of bankruptcy Bitcoin that they had from Genesis and Celsius and BlockFi and Voyager and every other stupid company that ended up upside down in 2022 due to leverage and bad management and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully that's about done, and that's been providing a lot of the selling pressure for honestly months now, on and off. So anyway, I think as usual, the probability of a big swing to the upside is probably 80 to 90%. The probability of a price correction to the downside is probably 10 or 20%. And if it does price correct to the downside, of course, I think that will be temporary before it's back to the upside. So what's the right way to think about that? Well, if you're thinking, should I invest more in Bitcoin now or wait for the price to go down? Here's the right way to think about that. So if the upside, the minimum upside, I would say from today's prices is, let's call it 500% in the next, 5 to 7 years. And so if the upside is 500% and you are trying to save, let's say, $7,000 to buy it cheaper by buying Bitcoin at, let's call it $63,000 instead of $70,000, that would be $7,000 off of $70,000. That would be 10%. Then you are potentially giving up 500% upside, trying to capture 10% downside. And so the right way to think about that math is to compare those two numbers. Okay, 10% as compared to 500% means 50 times more, 50. And so the question is, are you 50 times more certain the price is going to go down before it goes up than you are that it might go up? Well, I'm telling you, I think there's an 80% to 90% chance that the price will go a big swing up rather than a temporary price correction down. So not only do I think there's not a 50 to 1 chance that it will go down first, I think there's a probably 5 to 1 or 10 to 1 chance it will go up first. And so anyway, that's why anytime someone asks me, is now a good time to buy Bitcoin, I always tell them yes, because every time someone tries to wait for the price to go down, it's not that nobody in the entire world gets lucky, but the probability that you're going to get lucky and catch, cheaper Bitcoin is a fraction of the percent probability that Bitcoin is going to leave you behind, wishing you had bought more. So anyway, that's the right way to think about it, is to think, okay, if the upside is somewhere between 500% and, I don't know, I think it's 5x to 20x, call it. So if the upside is somewhere between 500% and 2000%, in the near term, or let's say by the end of 2030 is a good guess. So the upside is somewhere between 5x, 10x, or 20x, which is 500%, 1,000%, or 2,000%. Then the question is, does it really make sense to try to capture another 10% or even 20% on the downside? Because again, you're looking at a 20% downside compared to a 2,000% upside. It just makes absolutely zero sense when you look at it that way. So anyway, that's why every time I have capital availability, I use it to immediately convert US dollars into Bitcoin. And I don't even look at the price. I just buy Bitcoin. It literally doesn't matter if the Bitcoin's up for the day or down for the day, or if it seems like it's in a dip, or if it seems high or low. You're never going to guess it right. Nobody can. Nobody's ever successfully done that consistently. And so if it makes sense, buy Bitcoin. If it doesn't, for where you are and your financial situation, don't. But you can't time the market, which is why, again, when you have an asset that is generally going up, 5 to 10 times as much or more likely than it is going down, it makes zero sense to try to catch the downside. It's much better to just buy and wait for the upside. And again, you might wait through a temporary downturn, and if so, so what? When Bitcoin's, $500,000 a coin, not a single person in the world is going to care whether you bought it at any price below $100,000. it's not going to matter, and you're not even going to remember whether it was 67,000 or 72,000 or whatever. So that's the latest. There's a lot of positive news on the horizon right now. Hong Kong is about to approve Bitcoin ETFs, just like the United States did. There's a ton, just because the Chinese economy is in a free fall right now and everybody is desperate to get their money out of China. There's a ton of pent up demand for that in China right now, and a lot of people in China have access to the Hong Kong financial markets. So an ETF in Hong Kong is a really big deal and will do for Asia, I think, what the U.S. Bitcoin ETFs kicked off earlier this year, something of the same similar magnitude. Additionally, the opposition party in South Korea won the elections, and one of their central tenets of their platform was to allow Bitcoin ETFs in South Korea. So good news there. And there's a couple other things. Some major banks and financial managers that are on the horizon with allowing their clients or their financial managers to recommend Bitcoin. So a lot of exciting stuff, honestly, on the horizon for Bitcoin. And that's why I think it's, 80% to even 90% plus that we see a swing to the upside in price as global adoption continues to relentlessly march forward. So that's the update. Hopefully it's helpful. Lots of exciting stuff in the news. And typically when there's a lot of exciting stuff in the news, it is only a matter of time until that is reflected in the price. And it's sort of, starting to be a little bit, because Bitcoin's more consistently above $70,000 per coin, as opposed to bouncing around in 60,000s. It's been more consistently, very recently, above $70,000 per coin. And I think in short order, once we sort of break out of this little recent pattern, I think we'll be above $80,000 in short order and just marching higher. So anyway, hopefully that update's helpful. Hit me up with any questions if you have them. Always here to help. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.